Welcome to Coffey Talk, real stories from real people. I'm your host, Kate Coffey-Bacon, and every Monday we'll sit down for honest conversations about successes, failures, and the lessons we learn from both. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk. Welcome back to Coffey Talk, where we share real stories that inspire action. Today, I am joined by Melissa Maikos, a teacher by day, fitness instructor by night, and a lifetime sports enthusiast who's turning her passion for movement into a mission to help others feel their best. Side note, Melissa, I want to tell the listeners how I met you.
Let's do it.
Melissa, yes. So Melissa lives in my community. A lot of Coffey Talk so far has been kind of more my professional world. Melissa lives in my community, and probably about a year ago, I signed up for Spenga. If you've heard my story, you know that I'm a 200-hour certified yoga instructor. Wanted a little bit of yoga, but a little bit more. So I signed up for Spenga, which is cycle, strength, and yoga. And Melissa was my favorite instructor. So great. She made getting up at 5:30 in the morning totally worth it. So once I started following Melissa and some of the things that she's doing in fitness and in some kind of other areas that we'll dive into, I messaged her on Instagram and said, please come on my podcast. I want to spread the word about what you're doing and the very special community that you are building locally, because we need a bigger reach with what you're doing. So before we dive into kind of what you're doing locally here, can you take us back to the moment when wellness became more than just something you did for yourself, maybe when it started to feel like a calling to support others?
So I think health and wellness was always a part of my world. I'm a Gen Xer. And so I think we grew up with that whole idea of the perfect body, that size 2, that what do the supermodels look like? What do athletes look like? They were always skinny. We were always taught that running was the way to lose weight and get in shape. And for me growing up, it was more about, unfortunately, body image and being skinny. And so when I decided to, I don't want to say give back, because it was more like give to me and fill my cup with, this is the body that I've been given and I'm just going to embrace it. And that didn't happen until I'd say maybe mid-30s. I've always been involved in sports, always been involved in athletics and some type of fitness. And it occurred to me that there's so many people out there, especially women like me, who struggle to lose weight, who struggle with that body image. And I thought, what a great way to kind of combine that positive body image with health and wellness, where it dives a little bit deeper beyond just the exercise. It goes a little bit more into the mental aspect of it, which is why I absolutely love the format of Spenga, having spin, strength, and yoga. Because like I said, growing up, we were taught if you want to lose weight and be skinny and be pretty, you have to run and do cardio. Well, if people aren't familiar with Spenga, it's 20 minutes of a spin cycle class. That's all you need. That's 18 to 20 minutes of cardio. And I think honestly, when I was in my 30s, I realized I was doing too much cardio. And I get a lot of flack for that, right? Because at my age, we were taught cardio is the way to go. That's how you lose weight. And I was doing too much cardio. And it got to a point, I think probably about 2014, that I was starting to puff. I was starting to get fluffy. I was training for a half marathon when I was living in Savannah, Georgia. And one of my best friends, she told me I wasn't lifting enough weights and I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't fueling my body. I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't doing enough weight training. And so we cut a lot of the cardio out and went to weight training. And that's when it kind of occurred to me that I grew up with the wrong mentality when it comes to working out and health and wellness. And so I think maybe 2014 was the turning point for me. And that's when I actually became a spin instructor back in 2014. My first spin class ever in Savannah, Georgia, Baby Island, to be more precise, at the YMCA. And it was no turning back from there.
Yeah. So you have a huge background in sports and fitness. Share a little bit about that. There's something I didn't know that you were in sports broadcasting. So share a little bit more about that. Like your background is just, it's all sports, all body.
I grew up following sports so I'm an Aries. I was born in March. And so growing up in New Jersey, you had a couple options. You could be a Yankees fan, you could be a Mets fan, Giants, Jets, Rangers, Devils. And I grew up in a sports family. My dad had a cup of coffee in Major League Baseball with the St. Louis Cardinals, threw out his shoulder. So he had just a little bit of a minor league stint with them. And so I knew sports was in my blood. But growing up, again, Gen X, born in the 70s, there was no sports for me to play. So I would play baseball with my dad, just throw a ball, play basketball in my street. And one day I asked my dad if I could play Little League baseball with my brother, and they wouldn't let girls play. So I actually wound up getting a flyer in school when I was in 6th grade for a softball program in a different town. And now, if you're familiar with New Jersey, you could throw a stone and hit the next town over. And so my dad called the town, it's called Fords, which is Woodbridge, if people are familiar, and they knew my dad. My dad was pretty famous in New Jersey for his athletic prowess. And so it was at that point that I started playing organized sports with other girls and other people versus just throwing a baseball or playing basketball with my dad in the street. And I guess you could say I was kind of a tomboy. When I was in my mother's womb, my dad would rub my mom's belly. You will be a Yankee fan. You will be a Yankee fan. So I grew up watching the Yankees, and I had always dreamed of being a professional baseball player. And when I realized girls don't play professional sports, at least back then, when I went to college, I thought, well, if I can't play professional softball or basketball, because there was no WNBA at that point, the dream would have been the Olympics, and I wasn't good enough for that. And so I said, if I can't play professional sports, maybe I can talk sports professionally. And that's when I went into sports broadcasting. I didn't want to do anything in front of the camera. I wanted to just tell the stories. I wanted to be that person that had the experience of playing sports and what sports did for me. It was my identity. It was who I was. And so I just wanted to tell the story, tell everybody's story of how sports impacted them in a positive way and also in a negative way, because I had some pretty bad experiences playing sports, but it turned me into who I am. And now I parlay that into my everyday world with what I do as a teacher by day and a sports fitness instructor by night. And when I went into sports broadcasting, I had to grind. Like there was no, here it is on a silver platter. You played sports, let's put you on TV. And I had some amazing mentors that basically said, you have the knowledge and you have the ability to go on camera and tell these stories. And I just didn't realize that my love and my passion for writing and reading and sports could all become one for a career. So I did that for about 14 years, various CBS affiliates. And I was in the local studios, the local stations, and I got to tell the stories, and I didn't have to go into professional locker rooms and deal with that kind of stuff. And so one of the reasons why I actually got out of sports broadcasting was because it stopped being fun. It started becoming more of
Mm.
gossip. It started becoming more of who is so and so
Mm.
dating, who is so and so. They were spotted at such and such a restaurant. And fortunately for me, I feel like I got out right when social media started to really come into the scene. And so I did a complete 180 and traded in my sports anchor desk for a teacher desk because that was in my blood. And I was fortunate enough living in Savannah, Georgia, that I built a reputation for myself and the work ethic where the station I worked for in Savannah, Georgia, WTOC, they asked me if I would stay on a contractual basis. And I said, absolutely. So I wound up going back to school, getting my teaching degree and my master's degree, doing the sports broadcasting kind of on the side and teaching. So I had a full-time teaching job. I was actually giving softball pitching lessons and hitting lessons, going back to school, working full-time as a teacher, and just kind of grinding it out. And but thanks to that opportunity, I don't think I would have been able to do that in a bigger market. Would be able to keep my foot in the door. And so it's still there. It's still in there. That sports broadcasting in me, it's still in there. Every now and then I will call my old stations and tell them about some stories I know that would make for a good TV, and we get it done.
Yeah. I love it. You mentioned something about Gen X, and I have so much to say about this topic. Women, I think of our generation, are doing so much to raise awareness and talk about areas that might have been taboo. It's almost like there's this blanket of we can't talk about that. Gen X says, oh, hold my beer. Here we go.
Right?
And I love
Cheers.
that. And
And
we just right, like we just take all these topics that we can't talk about, whether it be body image, on beauty standards, on aging, or you said it, and how we're supposed to be skinny and how we're supposed to look a certain way. Never mind how you may feel. What are you supposed to look like? So man, we have so much ground to cover. I want to take one tiny step back and ask a question because I'm very curious. How did your athletic background shape your approach and all of those things that you grew up thinking, feeling? How did that shape your approach to wellness today?
so being an athlete, someone a while ago, spoke at an event for girls in athletics, and I I said, as a former athlete, and I had somebody tell me, "You're never a former athlete. Once an athlete, always an athlete, because it sticks with you. It's a mindset." And I think that was totally my identity. Was I knew I was good at it, and I knew how to work hard for it. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to accomplish, and I knew how to get there. I think being an athlete, it never leaves you. Even I'm 49, not afraid to say it. I'm 49, and I always still have that athletic mentality of this is what it's going to take to get the job done. And I take that with me as a teacher. But I
Hmm.
think having that approach and that mindset as an athlete for health and wellness, it gives you that work ethic to practice. And it's the same thing, when you go to the gym every day, you're practicing. What are you practicing for? Well, maybe 10 years ago, I was practicing because I wanted to be thin and I wanted to be pretty and I wanted to look good in a bikini. Now I'm practicing at the gym for health and wellness and longevity. So I don't wake up every morning and struggle to get out of bed because my bones are talking to me, right? So I think, there's a total mind shift as we get older. And I think sometimes when you get into the gym or when you get into that mind space of working yourself out with like-minded people, you find your tribe and you find people that will
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of us deal with the perimenopause. I'm seeing a lot of us deal with that body image all over again because it's in our faces. I talk a lot in my sessions in my classes about we don't want a J-Lo booty. We want a Katie Coffee booty. We want a Melissa
Boom.
Maikos booty, right?
Right. I want what I have.
We
Yes.
want to embrace our own booties because A,
Yeah.
I can't afford a J-Lo booty. I don't it's not happening, right? So embrace my booty and stop looking at everybody else and what their booty looks like, what their body looks like, and let's look what we can do within you. And truly, when you want that superficial body, there's not something going on the outside. It's really something going on in the inside. And I had to learn that the hard way.
I had my sister on for episode 2 of Coffee Talk, and we were talking about similar things. And one of the things that she said, she is 12 years younger than me. And she's really coming into this space of this connection between your internal healing and how that affects the way that you view yourself. And one of the things that she said, and I'm going to repeat it because it's just so good, she said, some of us, like women that might have stepped away from fitness, or men, humans, stepped away from fitness, and you come back to it, you might be coming back to it with that idea of you're remembering when. You're remembering when you looked a certain way and you want
Yeah.
to get that back. And, she's like, I completely wholeheartedly disagree with that because you are who you are right now. And that is earned. Who we are and what we look like right now is to be honored. And
I
so
agree.
I'm with you. My reasons for staying active have changed. My reasons for staying active is now longevity because
Yeah.
in my 70s and 80s, I want to be able to chase chickens around the yard and pick tomatoes. Like that is my dream of retirement. And I want to see that a reality for me. So that means I have to do the work now so that
Yeah.
not only like setting myself up for retirement, but setting myself up, my physical body up for retirement. You are doing
I agree.
some really, really great things in creating community around menopause. At the end of the show, I'll have you tell us how we can find you on LinkedIn so we can follow along. But what myths or misconceptions are you seeing about midlife for women in wellness that you just want to bust right wide open?
It's different for everybody. One of the biggest things that I see is women afraid to lift heavy weights.
Mhm.
Again, especially, our age group. I think the younger age group, they're still not sure. They're still trying to find it out. But the women that I work out with and the women that come to to my sessions, we're all around the same age and they're afraid to lift those heavy weights because we were taught that lighter weights, more reps so we can tone. And so I think that's one of the biggest myths that I had to learn too. But that's one of the biggest things. But the other thing is also that it's not too late, right? It's not too late to hit the gym. It's not too late to I don't want to say get your body back, but get your body where you're comfortable in your own skin. Throw the scale out. I hate the scale because that was the barometer for me growing up. Like, oh, I got to be 115. I got to be 120. Now I'm like, ooh, I want to wear those jeans. And not only do I want to wear those jeans, I want to feel good in them. Right. And I see that in class all the time. Like, what we're doing right now is not cute. Getting down on the ground and doing burpees and push-ups and whatnot. It's not cute. It's not supposed to be cute. What's cute is when you walk out this door and you put those jeans on and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I feel good. Didn't lose a pound, but I feel good because I know how hard I just worked. And I think that's the most important thing. I also know when it comes to perimenopause, I'm no expert. All I know is I have a story, and so does everybody. And I'm learning about other people's stories. And I know for me, I don't want to say an anomaly. I've tried everything. I have tried everything and it's different for everybody. I don't have kids, so my experience is a lot different from those who have kids. Everybody's body's different. My sister, they call us Irish twins. She's 18 months older than me. And her experience with perimenopause is completely different from mine. She's got 3 kids. I've got 0. I've got the fur babies, but no kids. And so I was actually just on the phone with her the other day, talking to her about some of my symptoms. And she's like, I don't have that, but I have this. And so
Right.
honestly, I'm using perimenopause as something that's humorous and something where I can say, huh, my eye is twitching. Perimenopause. Sure, why not? Or I missed my turn to get to the store. Perimenopause. So I'm
Right.
using it as humor, but I'm also using it as a guide for, okay, is there something else going on with my body that I need to talk to a doctor? But you talked about how it was taboo.
Yeah.
So my mom and I have a great relationship, but we didn't know about any of this growing up. None of this. And so I talked to her about it now, and she doesn't really remember. She's like, "I don't really remember experiencing that." And I'm like, "I wonder if it's something that's new for our generation or if it's just our parents don't remember because they were basically had to compartmentalize and weren't allowed to talk about it, whereas we can talk about it." So my mom's 81, and I just wanna be like her when I grow up. We talk about health and wellness and fitness. She just had a full knee replacement surgery, and she still plays tennis, and that was her goal for the knee replacement. She's like, "I just wanna be able to get back out and play tennis again." Like, "Yeah, mom.
Yeah.
I wanna be like you." Yeah.
So I've said it a couple of times in this episode, you're creating really fun community around something that it can be challenging. I'm not going to say it can be challenging. It is challenging. This season of my life is challenging. It's not easy. Why do you think creating this community is so powerful when navigating these changes, and why, and what made you decide to start building this community?
So I have a friend group from New Jersey, and we're all over the place now. I've got my bestest girlfriends from high school. Before high school, my best friend Beth, we knew each other in preschool. So I grew up with this same group of girls, and we have a group chat. I grew up in a town called Metuchen. We're the Metuchen super women because we really feel like we are that, right? We are these super women in our own way. And we all have our own like unique, like we're like the Spice Girls. We all have our own like little thing. Like I was the sporty spice, Karen was the smart spice. And so we're all just different spices now in our world, but we have a group chat going and we started talking about it. And so one of my friends was like, you should start posting about it. So I started posting about it, and I started posting more about it on TikTok, and just started getting a following and started getting people. At first I was like joking about it. And then I got a huge hit on one of my videos about me just sleeping all the time. and people just commenting, "Oh my God, this is me. Wait, so you're going through it too? Wait, you're going," and so the comments just started flowing. And I'm like, we don't want to be alone. All we want is that reassurance that we're not alone, that this is normal. This is something that you're not the only one experiencing it. So that video really hit home for a lot of people. And so I started posting other symptoms, and some of them get traction and some of them don't. But I really started doing it just for my friends in my text group. And so it kind of just started blowing up a little bit about, hey, that's me every day. That's how I feel. What do you do to combat that? Okay, well, here's what I'm doing. But I always, have the caveat of talk to your doctor, because that was one of the first things that I did was I talked to my doctor, and I got the blood work, and I'm that girl. "Oh, everything's normal. All your labs are normal. Everything's normal." So I had to take a totally different approach. 2 years ago, I went the holistic biohacking approach, got a different blood work done, and turns out, things came back, and I'm like, whoa. And when I talked to my doctor about it, like, she was super happy that I did that, because she told me that there's only certain tests she can give me without me having to pay an arm and a leg that insurance won't cover. And so I found a great place actually through Spenga, and got some blood work done, and saw what was going on. Did it help me with some of my perimenopause symptoms? No, but it just gave me that peace of mind, like, oh, this is what's going on in my body. Like, this is what's happening to my cells. This is what's happening to, the hormone levels. And so I was like, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. And so I think just knowing that you're not alone is the biggest thing. And we have this amazing thing called the internet and social media, where I am a social media person that just wants the positive. And I'm just hoping that in my algorithm, that my humorous approach to perimenopause and menopause finds the right people, because that's the people that I want to reach, the people that want to feel like you belong, feel like, okay, I'm not alone.
Well, it certainly found me and landed with me, and I love every one of your posts. If someone is listening and wants to follow along with you, how are we going to find you?
So Maikos21, that's where you'll find me on social media: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's going to be me, my husband, my dogs, my pet pig. I have a pet pig, and perimenopause. And I mean, that's pretty much it. And I just know that there are people out there that when they find me, we become quick friends, because I will be your peri squad leader. I'll be your biggest cheerleader, helping you through whatever I can help you through. And then, just adding value to other people, I think, is the most important thing. And that's what I want out of my social media. So Maikos21, that's where you'll find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. I'm very much aligned with you. I have Coffey Talk on Instagram, TikTok. I post shorts from Coffey Talk. I post things I'm thinking about, quotes that I come across in my reading that is encouraging, uplifting. You can see yourself in it. It might motivate you to keep going or make that decision. And that's what I'm trying to do, is create a little positivity in my tiny itty bitty corner of the internet. And so I think that's why everything that you are doing in creating that community as well just resonates with me. And I wanted to partner with you to help you to get this out a little bit more. So I will put in the show notes everywhere that you can find Melissa. Thank you for coming on to Coffey Talk today. What a national treasure you are. Thank you so much. Thank you for inspiring me to move my legs at 5:30 in the morning at Spenga. I'm not there anymore, but I got to take you with me, so it was worth it. Until next time, move your body, keep moving, build community, find like-minded people to encourage you, so you can see yourselves and not feel so alone in whatever it is you may be going through. Thank you for joining us today on Coffey Talk. A special thanks to my guests for sharing their story, and to you, the listener, for being a part of this conversation. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a Monday morning chat. Until next time, I'm Kate Coffey-Bacon, and this has been Coffey Talk.